I love you. Will you marry me?
This is when I think Full House died, in the two-part season 6 finale House Meets the Mouse, because this episode gave the show a sense of finality, and also marks the end of the show's good years before spiraling down toward cancellation in season 8. But to fully explain my viewpoint, we need to examine the series both before and after this moment to arrive at how I believe Full House died 2 years before its final episode. In case you didn't grow up watching Full House, or it's been a while and you need a refresher, the show is about Danny Tanner, who recently suffered the loss of his wife Pam, leaving him to raise their 3 young daughters, Donna Jo, or DJ for short, Stephanie, and 8-month-old Michelle, all by himself. So Danny asks his best friend Joey and his brother-in-law Jesse to move in for a while to help raise the girls. Throughout season 1, we watch Danny, a dorky yet loving father, learn to juggle his career as a sportscaster while trying to run the household without the aid of his wife. On the flip side of that, we see Joey and Jesse struggle to learn the ropes of parenting, often with hilarious results. And as for the kids, we see DJ and Stephanie adjust to having 2 new father figures in their lives, while dealing with their own sibling rivalries. In addition to their roles as surrogate fathers, we learn that Jesse and Joey are struggling artists in search of their big breaks. Joey is scraping by from gig to gig while hoping to become a headlining stand-up comic, and Jesse is an Elvis-loving musician, seeking a record deal for he and his band The Rippers while working a day job for his father as a bug exterminator, and playing small gigs at the Smash Club at night. Some significant events of the season are the family's somber first Thanksgiving without Pam, and Jesse almost moving out when his free spirit yearns for the carefree lifestyle he left behind, until ultimately conceding that his life is better with the Tanners. Aside from showing the 3 men struggling to raise the girls, season 1 also focused a lot on their love lives as eligible bachelors. Danny is reluctant to date given the recent loss of his wife, but on the other side of the spectrum, Jesse practically has a new girlfriend every episode. Season 1 established the show as a family-oriented comedy with a big heart, where kids and grown-ups learn important moral lessons about life. But because of season 1's bachelor vibe, there was some suggestive humor and innuendo that felt out of place, because of how much it contrasted with the show's overall family-friendly nature. But the bachelor vibe would drastically change in the next season. Season 2 cleaned up the show's occasional adult humor, primarily by getting Jesse's womanizing under control, by giving him a good girl to settle down with early on in the season. In the second episode, Tanner vs. Gibbler, Jesse's future love interest Rebecca Donaldson, who goes by Becky, is introduced as Danny's co-host on the morning talk show Wake Up San Francisco. And it doesn't take long for Jesse to get the hots for Becky, but Becky dismisses all of his advances with the excuse that she'd rather just be friends so she can focus on her career. But halfway through the season, Becky admits she has feelings for Jesse, and the two begin dating, which culminates in the 2-part season finale in Vegas, where they admit their love for one another, and then Jesse quickly proposes and throws Becky for a loop by suggesting they get married right there at the hotel. But at the end of the episode, Becky and Jesse decide to take their time to date more before really getting engaged. Aside from Jesse and Becky's relationship, there were some other significant developments in this season as well. Jesse quit working for his father as an exterminator to become a jingle writer for a marketing agency, which led him to team up with Joey to create full-blown ad campaigns. And this was a welcome excuse to see more Joey and Jesse antics because their chemistry provided some of the best moments in the first and second seasons. Another important development is about the family's grief over Pam's loss in Goodbye, Mr. Bear, when Stephanie's stuffed animal Mr. Bear goes missing, which we find out was a gift from her mom when Michelle was born. While searching for the bear, more details about Pam's death emerge when it's mentioned she was tragically killed in a car accident. And the episode ends on a somber note with the family reminiscing about Pam by watching an old video from the day she came home from the hospital with Michelle. By the end of season 2, Full House solidified its identity as a family comedy focused on good morals, cute kids, and catchphrases.
Have mercy.
With a new emphasis on Jesse and Becky's romance, and some of its biggest moments were just up ahead. Season 3 is when Full House became the most popular show in the TGIF lineup, and the show's increase in popularity is evident in the higher production values of several episodes. For example, in Season 3, the family goes on a Hawaiian vacation, complete with a concert performance by Jesse singing Elvis's Rockahula from Blue Hawaii. Later on in the season, Joey competes on the popular TV show Star Search, and in a separate episode, he lands a job as a host for an educational kids show with Jesse as his assistant. One of the most memorable high production episodes is Honey, I Broke the House, where Stephanie accidentally crashes Joey's car into the kitchen while trying to listen to the radio. Season 3 is when DJ starts middle school and becomes a teenager, so the show starts to delve into coming-of-age themes like getting zits and being pressured to kiss a boy. And Season 3 is also when the Tanner's dog Comet was brought into the show, as a way to teach about the miracle of birth. With the season already filled to the brim with spectacle, Season 3 concludes with a bombastic telethon episode that is really just an excuse to have the cast perform a talent show for the TV audience, including a special appearance of a Beach Boy and the Raiderettes. Season 4 had its own share of high production values, along with several storylines that further developed the characters in significant ways. In the episode Slumber Party, the grief of Pam's death is dealt with again, when Stephanie has a harsh realization that her experience in the Girl Scout group, the Honeybees, will be different than DJ's, because Stephanie doesn't have a mom to attend the parties with like her older sister did. Jesse and Joey's career in marketing reaches a significant turning point in the episode The IQ Man, when they quit their jobs to start their own marketing agency with a generous loan from Danny as their new silent partner. But this storyline is nearly non-existent after this episode, because most of the season is spent developing Jesse and Becky's relationship. At the beginning of the season, Jesse proposes to Becky for the second and final time, but tensions rise during their engagement in the episode One Last Kiss, when Jesse attends his 10-year high school reunion and finds out his high school sweetheart Carrie wants to hook back up with him. They're forced into dancing together as the former prom king and queen, and Jesse readily admits he's engaged. But Carrie reminds him about their grad night 10 years earlier, when Jesse promised her they would get back together after pursuing their respective career dreams. In the present, Carrie ups the ante by kissing Jesse, but he reaffirms he's moved on and is happily engaged to Becky. Jesse and Becky get married soon after in a two-part episode where Jesse pledges his love to his wife by singing her his rendition of the Beach Boys song Forever, complete with a montage of the romantic moments the couple have shared over the past few seasons. And the song finishes with Becky singing the last verse with Jesse as a duet, which is important to remember when we talk about later seasons. After the wedding, Season 4 still has some gas left in the tank for a few more significant developments. The first was in the episode Fuller House, when Jesse moves into Becky's apartment, which devastates Michelle as well as Jesse. But their tears soon fade away when Jesse and Becky move into the Tanner's attic to save for their first home. Then in the season finale, Rock the Cradle, Jesse surprises Becky that he finally got a record deal and will go on tour over the summer, but she surprises him in return by revealing she's pregnant, which leaves this very eventful season on a cliffhanger to find out what's in store for their future in the music industry and as expecting parents. But the Season 5 opener Double Trouble drops a bomb on Jesse and Becky's lives when they find out they're having twins, who were born halfway through the season in a two-part episode. So with two new children to take care of, Jesse becomes determined to make something of himself in the music industry so he can provide for his family. But as usual, his career is fraught with obstacles, such as inexplicably losing his first record deal, and attempting to reinvent Jesse and the Rippers as the metal band Vulture, which fails, prompting Jesse to remain true to himself and his music. Season 5 is when Joey becomes the host of another children's show, Ranger Joe, which is the first appearance of his iconic puppet, Mr. Woodchuck, that vicariously delivers endless amounts of wood jokes.
Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Isidore.
Isidore!
Is the door made of wood?
And Joey eventually hires Jesse as his musical sidekick, Lumberjack Jess, but he's fired in the next episode due to budget cuts. So then Jesse rededicates himself yet again to finding another record deal, which he does when he catches the attention of an executive from Fat Fish Records, who wants him to make a music video for his version of Forever. But the catch is, they want to turn Forever into a rap song with dance choreography. And to add tension and humor to the plot, the creators decided to retcon Jesse's character to have zero dance skills, even though we had already seen him dance pretty well in the past. And this won't be the last time Jesse's character is retconned for the sake of a new story, which I'll talk more about in a minute. But because the show had heavily invested viewers in Jesse and Becky's romance for the past 3 seasons, it seemed the creators now had to come up with another significant romance to fill the void. So after the birth of Nikki and Alex, a new love story developed between Danny and his new co-host Vicky Larson, who subbed in for Becky during her maternity leave. Danny and Vicky begin dating halfway through the season in the episode Bachelor of the Month, and continue their relationship for the next 3 episodes. But in episode 15, Play It Again Jessie, Becky returns from maternity leave, and Vicky reveals she has landed a job as a news anchor in Chicago, which means she has to leave Danny behind in San Francisco. Or so we thought. Season 6 is a good season overall, but it's also when Full House starts to show some signs of wear and tear in a few areas. For example, Jesse has another retcon moment in the episode Educating Jesse, when DJ asks for his help with a stay-in-school campaign, but Jesse won't do it because he reveals he's a dropout too, even though we already saw him attend his 10-year high school reunion in Season 4. In Season 6, there are also some moral lessons that feel overused, such as seeing Stephanie repeat the same coming-of-age issue that DJ went through in the episode The Dating Game, when Stephanie forced a kiss on one of her guy friends because she felt like she had to, just like DJ did in Season 3. But despite Jesse's retconning or repetitive storylines, the show got a nice shot in the arm in Season 6 because of two main reasons: DJ's new boyfriend Steve, and the revival of Vicky and Danny's relationship. Steve was actually introduced in Season 5 in the episode Sisters in Crime, when he went on a date with DJ to the movies. But in Season 6, he surprisingly becomes a recurring, headlining character in the opening credits of the first episode Come Fly With Me, where he's introduced as DJ's new boyfriend that she hooked up with while studying abroad in Spain. Their relationship continues to progress at a fast rate, where in the next few episodes, they mention Marriage Sounds Right and also exchange I love yous. But their relationship hits an obstacle in A Very Tanner Christmas, when Steve gets accepted to a college 3,000 miles away, and DJ gets angry at him for ditching her to attend a party school. But in the end, Steve decides to attend a local junior college so he and DJ can continue to date while he improves his grades to get into a better school, which also seems to solidify his place on the show. Steve's commitment to DJ is established in the episode Prom Date, which rehashes Jesse's situation with Carrie from Season 4. Steve's ex-girlfriend Rachel re-enters his life. Steve reluctantly shares a dance with Rachel when they're voted as prom king and queen. Rachel kisses Steve, but he tells her she's living in the past and that he's moved on and wants to be with DJ. Season 6 revived Danny and Vicky's relationship in Episode 2, The Long Goodbye, where it's established they're both miserable in their long-distance relationship. But rather than break up, they decide to see each other more often to help cope with the distance. Soon after, they confess their love to one another, and like Steve and DJ, their love is also challenged this season in the episode Designing Mothers, when Vicky's mom Liz interrogates Danny about whether he has intentions to marry her daughter. The added pressure leads to an argument where Danny and Vicky break up, but they reconcile once Vicky finds out about the marriage discussion her mom had with Danny behind her back. But their relationship reaches a climax in the two-part season finale, The House Meets the Mouse, where Danny takes Vicky and his family to Disney World. And after a fun-filled trip, it culminates in a true Disney storybook ending, with Danny proposing to Vicky during the castle fireworks display. But in this fairy tale, they don't live happily ever after. Season 7 is when the show began a downward spiral, and the first sign of problems is that there is no mention of Danny and Vicky's relationship, or even an appearance of Vicky herself until the 4th episode Tough Love, which, to make matters worse, is about Danny paying off his kids to eat Vicky's cooking. Vicky only appears briefly twice more before her final appearance in episode 13, The Perfect Couple, when Vicky accepts a job as a news anchor in New York City, which breaks Danny's heart to realize that their lives are pulling them farther apart rather than closer together. So they have no choice but to break up. And the same fate would happen to DJ and Steve 6 episodes later, in Love on the Rocks, when DJ feels she and Steve are drifting apart because she thinks they don't have enough hot passion for each other anymore. Or in other words, DJ realizes her relationship has matured past the honeymoon phase, and she doesn't like that, so she ends it. The creator's decision to end these two key relationships so abruptly in Season 7 was confusing, since there was so much effort over the last season to build them up. And with both Steve and Vicky gone, there was very little left for the show to do to fill the void. Becky and Jesse's relationship had been on cruise control ever since the twins were born in Season 5. And in Season 6, Jesse's ambitions with his music fizzled out after he had a brief dose of the celebrity lifestyle when his music went big in Japan, but then gave up his record deal once he realized that wasn't the life he wanted to live. So in Season 7, the only thing new left for Jesse to do with his music career is to become the new owner and manager of the Smash Club, where we see him agonize over low-key decisions, such as which toilet he should put in the restroom. The girls have grown up so much that we start to see Michelle go through the same sibling rivalries we have already seen between DJ and Stephanie, or moral lessons that were recycled just with different characters. For example, in the episode Be Your Own Best Friend, Michelle's old best friend Teddy from season 5 moved back to San Francisco just in time for Michelle to receive a school assignment to draw her best friend. But the problem is, she has had a new best friend Denise since Teddy left. Michelle ultimately learns she can have more than one best friend, but we've already seen this same theme play out between Danny, Jesse, and Joey in season 4, when Jesse had to pick a best man for his wedding. Another repeated theme in this season is about death, in the episode The Last Dance, where Jesse's grandpa Popoli comes for a visit, then dies suddenly in his sleep. It's a somber and heartfelt episode, and is often ranked as the best of the season and one of the best of the entire series. But at the risk of blowing up my comment section, I don't think this episode alone is enough to redeem the rest of Season 7's disappointing departures and mediocre storylines. And I think the topic of grief and death was already handled well enough, with the Tanner struggle to cope with Pam's death. The show's decline got even steeper in Season 8, because this is when the creators seemed to use any means necessary to give the show a reason to keep going. For example, there is an unusual focus on animals this season. In Comet's Excellent Adventure, Comet runs loose throughout the streets of San Francisco. In You Pet It, You Bought It, Michelle saves up $200 worth of lemonade sales just to buy a donkey of all things. And in All Stood Up, things get really wacky when Jesse gets high blood pressure and tries to relax by buying a hammock, only to have his relaxation disturbed by Kimmy's pet ostrich. Things also take a turn toward the absurd with Jesse's music, and Making Out Is Hard to Do, when the Rippers kick Jesse out of the band and replace him with Barry Williams, who is Greg from the Brady Bunch. Then, in On the Road Again, Jesse forms a new band with the terrible name Hot Daddy and the Monkey Puppets, where their first gig is playing polka tunes at a bar. Season 8 also contains the episode My Left and Right Foot, which is often ranked as the worst episode of the series, where Michelle is traumatized by her sisters after they uncharacteristically make fun of her growing feet, which gives her a nightmare where she imagines she's a clown with huge feet that keep growing so big they overtake the house. And the B-plot to that episode retcons Becky to be a terrible singer, even though we have already seen her sing well multiple times throughout the show. And Jesse is retconned again for the third time in the episode Air Jesse to become a terrible athlete with zero coordination, when he has already been shown to have athletic ability before. Season 8 also stumbles twice to give DJ another significant romance, when she gets involved in 2 more relationships, neither of which holds a candle to the chemistry she had with Steve. Her first new boyfriend is with the rich and preppy Nelson, whom she apparently began dating between seasons 7 and 8. But she ends up dumping him in the same episode he's introduced, making his existence feel pointless. A few episodes later, DJ begins dating Jesse's new guitarist, Viper, but their relationship mostly revolves around them making out. But the show tries to ramp up the drama in the episode DJ's Choice, by having both Nelson and Viper compete for DJ's affections. But she rightly chooses neither of them, since they both pale in comparison to the chemistry she had with Steve. And it seemed like the creators knew this all along, because at the end of the 2-part series finale, Michelle Rides Again, Steve makes a last-minute surprise appearance as DJ's backup prom date when her original date inexplicably couldn't make it. So this is why I think the show died on May 18, 1993, in the season 6 finale The House Meets the Mouse. Because at this point, nearly all of the show's best moments were behind it, and all the characters were in good places in their lives, which gave a feeling of completeness. So the family's Disney World vacation could have served as a nice climactic high note by just allowing the viewers to believe that everyone lived happily ever after. Click the video on the screen for more great content right here on Fun Fact Films.